Hi guys, and welcome to another very special edition of
The Results Show.
The Results Show indeed. Today we are privileged and proud to be joined by the lovely Elizabeth Cowper. Elizabeth, welcome to the program.
Thank you, I'm so excited.
Well, we are also excited to have you here. So, in the continuing vein of basically talking to lovely folks like Elizabeth and basically getting different camera angles on the uses and the integrations of NLP, people's journeys, people's learnings, and how they've made it work for them. Then we're going to be chatting to Elizabeth over the next couple of episodes about her particular journey, because what we try to do when we're selecting the guests is to basically have people who've got slightly different ways of doing things and slightly different outcomes to give you the right tools to move forward. Do you think that's a fair statement?
It is. So, Elizabeth, I remember you've done master practitioner training with me, and then you've actually come and coached a lot on trainings, particularly pre-COVID. I remember when we were with the Warren House in Kingston. You were coaching. And then obviously we went through the whole pandemic thing, and then you came and coached afterwards. So we've known each other for a long time. I remember you were the HR director of Coach. For the men out there, that's handbags. And I remember you invited me in to do one of your events, which was great because you got all of your staff there. I think there was about 120, 150 people there. And the average age of the people there was at least half of my age. I think the CEO of Coach, who you introduced me to, he was probably about 20 or 30 years younger than me. So it was a very humbling experience.
You get to that stage, don't you, where like policemen look like they're about 12.
Yeah.
And they're not as tall as you remember them.
No, you're kind of like looking at them from a completely different angle.
I mean, it was great, and you know, also I think the thing that got me was what were they interested in? More energy and how to deal with stress.
Yes.
And so many of them came up to me at the end of it and thanked me for what I'd done, which was basically we did Huna, didn't we? Really.
Yep.
Even though we didn't really.
We didn't call it Huna.
We didn't call it that, but we did heart breathing and Hakalau, and they loved it.
A Huna by any other name would be as deep.
So yeah, we Elizabeth and I have gone back a long way. So it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
So with that kind of like overview. You've done practitioner, master practitioner, you've coached a lot. How would you say that learning and obviously using NLP has impacted your personal life and your business life?
Such a big question. I think I'll start by saying it's been life-changing. And just to quickly land the listeners in the timeline, I trained on my prac 20 years ago and master prac, I think 18 years ago, and I've been in the HR world for nearly 30 years. So 10 years into my career, NLP came into my world. And at a time when I was just going through a divorce as well, which I think is really relevant because I was in a place of really wanting to elevate who I was in my career, find my strength, find my power, and it came at just the right time, which of course it does. And it has truly been life-changing. In terms of my career, I've had a 25-year corporate career and run my own company for the last 4.5 years. And you might have thought, well, how do you use NLP in corporate? It was transformative for my leadership. And as an HR leader, I've managed teams of varying sizes, up to 32 people in my last corporate role. And every single person is on their own journey of growing their career. And the way in which I use NLP to facilitate their growth, I think became an unconscious process. I think the more you do it, the more it just becomes unconscious.
Yeah.
And so as a leader, I think it's massively transformative, whether it comes to how you listen, how you build rapport, how you storytell, how you future pace, how you drive strategies, how you bring people on your journey. So much of the learnings I had in my NLP came into that. And of course, all the coaching stuff too. And so I think that's been huge, I would say. And that's just a real top line. I don't know how deep you want me to go.
I think one of the things which we are kind of getting out of this is the fact that you don't need to be a coach to coach. You don't need to be a salesperson to sell. It's like, I think we were saying the other day, it's like, and I know that you've got kids as well. If you persuade a teenager to get out of bed, that is actually quite an epic sale. So it's,
true.
there are many, many different ways of looking at this, and you don't necessarily need to have that in your job title in order to be able to get this to help you.
It's so true, absolutely true. I mean, I did a separate coaching training, then obviously did my training coaching with David, and then later also trained as a StrengthsFinder coach. So coaching has run through so much of my career, but just knowing how to ask questions rather than dictate, that's such a simplistic view and such a simplistic message. But there are so many leaders I've seen in my career who think they're there to dictate and drive by telling, and just refreshing their mind on how to ask questions and inviting them to do that. They see transformative results in their teams. So I think how I've coached my own team as a leader, but by the nature of being an HR person, how I've coached leaders in the business to lead has also been really massively impactful in how we've driven the business. And that's all come from my NLP and coaching training.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that you understand the values levels from the master practitioner training, the Claire Graves values level for command and control. And that used to work. I mean, when I had my first job, your manager told you to do something and you did it, because otherwise you wouldn't have a job.
Yeah,
true. And then you wouldn't be able to buy your Elvis records at the end of the day. But those days are gone, and so now you're into leader as influencer, rather than do this.
I think a lot of it also.
Sorry.
So I was going to say, I think a lot of it actually comes down to the changing nature of work as well. There's a lovely guy called David Allen who founded the Getting Things Done system. And one of his observations was, kind of like 50 years ago, 80% of the workforce was involved in either making things or moving things. And these days it's less than 10%. So these days everybody, if you've got there are boxes here, the boxes need to be over there, a command and control system is fine. But because these days everybody is in kind of knowledge work, and you've kind of you don't have hard and fast lines of, this is your job, this is my job, there's no delineations, your job kind of tails off into the darkness. So you need to be able to, kind of have people who are using their initiative, and to that point they need to be encouraged rather than, driven like sheep.
It's true, and we have 5 generations in the workplace now. And this has been a huge shift for leaders. And in the work I've done as an HR leader, how we have leaders be able to ask the right questions to identify motivators, drivers, what really has somebody thrive, in their best self. That comes from questioning, and lots of NLP stuff in that on rapport and understanding and being open to and understanding someone else's model of the world isn't yours. And it sounds really simplistic and basic, but if you're in your 60s, you're managing someone who's fresh out of school, the world is completely different. And being mindful of that is a key part of leadership. And we've never had, till the last 10 years, 5 generations in this way, in the workplace, all with different motivators. And what a career was 30 years ago is not the same now. These 20-year-olds can pick 20 careers and be in a job for a year or less, or be gig economy working or nomadic and living in different countries. All of it's welcome, but that's a hard thing to get your head around if that's not how your careers run. So
Yes.
It's really helping leaders see different models of the world.
And obviously we had a bit of a chat before we came on, because I know you've integrated your NLP a lot into your business, and we'll talk about your business now. Obviously, we've been talking about your career, but also I know you found that NLP was massively empowering in your family life.
Massively. I mean, my children are 22, 19, and 8. And so my girls, the older two, grew up with me with NLP. You think I did my prac training when Tallulah was 2. So, there's been a real raising of them through my own NLP journey. And I think for me as a parent, it has been absolutely game-changing. I mean, we were joking before that I double-bind them constantly. I mean, not so much the big ones now, but, do you want to put your shoes on now or in 5 minutes? It's like,
yes.
You're still going to get the shoes on. And so that has been really helpful for me as a parent. Also helping them, I wouldn't use this language with a child, but having them really land in their limiting beliefs. When you grow up as a child, there's all these, everybody has it. This is absolutely a universal experience of, I can't do that, or I'm scared, mummy, or I don't know how. And helping them really get under that just through the right language and helping them be brave and resilient, to me, has been amazing. And just quickly, my 22-year-old went on a gap year for a year and came back 3 years later and is the biggest adventurer, nomadic, resilient traveler ever. And the other one had a gap year and is now teaching in a school for special needs kids and did an Ironman this year. So these are kids who, for me, are so brave. And I would 100% put a lot of that down to how I help them get through scary moments in life, to know they are capable of whatever they want to go after. And I'd like to believe NLP played a big part in these resilient girls I've got today.
I think it's probably because they were listening to the pre-study CDs in the car on the school run.
More than likely. More than likely. I should add now that I've got a neurodivergent one. So my 8-year-old is very ADHD, and it's been my biggest parenting challenge yet. And how I reframe with him, and how he gets very anxious as well, and perceptual positions, things like just working with him on reframing things in his mind. And definitely double binding, because he's a faffer getting out the door to school. I think it's been really powerful, and parenting a neurodivergent child has been a new thing for me and a big stretch, and NLP has played an incredible part in that.
I guess also with because I think you said that one of your daughters is now working in a special needs school.
Yeah.
So again, it's just almost like having had that NLP ingrained, with her in that upbringing. Then hopefully that's kind of helping her do exactly the same thing, for the children that she is working with.
Absolutely. I just think all of them see possibility in places that you wouldn't necessarily, and I love that. And if that's one thing I can take away as a mummy, then I'll have that.
Yes. And I think that's a good, a good legacy.
I think they've all been into the training room, haven't they?
Well, do you remember Minty? So that's my second one. When I came to Master Pack, I did it in July. She was born in March. In March, she was 5 months, I think.
Yeah.
When I did. So then I was gone for 2 weeks, and because of your training finishes at 8 in the evening. Thank you, David. No, it was great. But
we're just trying to add value.
Yeah. It was funny. I remember her, I think, coming afterwards sometimes to pick me up in the car, with her dad or whatever. It was just hilarious. So yeah, they've all been part of it. They really have. It's good.
Yeah, I remember. So I think that's a natural pause here as far as like, you know, how Elizabeth has used NLP in a career in the past, with a family in the past.
Yes.
Elizabeth, because our episodes are about 20 minutes. So what we'd like to do, if you're up for this, is we'd like to ask you to come back to do a second episode.
Of course.
Which is more about, you know, what you're doing with NLP now and where you see it taking you in the future.
Yes.
Would you say?
Yeah, no, I think that's really good because again, one of the things that we were talking about is the fact that your path, because with a lot of folks who are on here, they're looking to either become trainers or do stuff like that, whereas and it's almost like your approach is the epitome of kind of what we're trying to do here at the Results Show.
Oh,
so, because
just on that point, and I know we talked about this before we came on, but I think it's worth probably saying that when I sat in the room doing my prac, that there were people saying, "Oh, are you going to do trainers training?"
Yeah.
And I never had any intention of doing trainers training. I did my prac and my master prac. And those brilliant folk that went on to do trainers training, that's their path. But actually, you can use NLP everywhere, in every part of your life, whether it's corporate, your own business. It is absolutely life-changing for self and others. And I just remember, and I thought it's worth mentioning, that there can be that kind of, you know, pre-installed unconscious belief that is the only way, and it's not.
I wouldn't install anything, Elizabeth.
I just want to highlight for anyone, this is such a life-changing thing.
So yeah, no, as I said, I think you embody the absolute spirit of the Results Show, which is let's do what works. Let's put this into practice, and just basically get the results we want for ourselves and indeed our loved ones. And it sounds like you've done an amazing job there.
Thank you. I'm also really annoying though as a mother, because when they say I can't do that, I'm like, really? I'm very irritating like that.
Tough love.
You know, I've also had the opposite thing where, you know, with the pre-study for the practitioner, master practitioner, and parents put them in the car, playing them, you know, listening to the audios whilst they're driving their kids to school. And then, you know, mum or dad has a bad day. And they're grumpy when they get home or whatever. And then their little 4 or 5 year old has gone, "Well, mummy, remember cause and effect." What you say about somebody else always says more about you than it says about
Oh yes. You're basically handing them a weapon. I can just imagine them running around the playground, you know, kind of like going up to saying, "Your model of the world is massively outdated."
That's a
The
bit
map is not territory.
Daddy, that's a bit values level 4.
Right, so if you would like to learn more about how to basically empower your children to become, not monsters, upstanding members of society who are able to call you tight, then please join us for the next episode, where we'll be joined by the lovely Elizabeth and of course myself and David, and we will look further into how to create results that we all want. So in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at
theresultsshow.com.
podcast@theresultsshow.com. So from all of us here, we will see you next time.